the Women's Advent service from Charleswood United Church in Winnipeg for December 2020. We're so glad that you've joined us as we search for hope during this unprecedented time in our lives. My name is Joanne Moore, and I'm here with several ladies from Charleswood United Church who will share their experiences of searching for hope in these uncertain times. Part of the inspiration for this service has been taken from a poem written by Kevin McCormick. The poem is called If This Time. Kevin is an Irish poet living in Fermoy, Ireland, and during this pandemic he has written some beautiful poetry that we would like to share with you. Kevin has given us permission to share the video of the poem in his own voice. We're very appreciative to Kevin for this very generous gift. With the arrival of Advent, our thoughts often turn to reflection, anticipation, joy, hope, and love. This year, we may be reflecting on what we were doing other years at the start of Advent, because this year is certainly different. Things have changed. Things have slowed down. Perhaps being slowed down has given us the gift of time to reflect on what is important in our lives and for our world, and to know that yes, there is hope. But what exactly is hope, and where do we find it? Archbishop Desmond Tutu describes hope as being the light, seeing the light in spite of all the darkness. Sometimes my phone rings. Someone tells me they've been thinking of me and they're wondering how I am. Those phone calls shine light into my day, and they give me hope. As it turns out, you don't have to be an archbishop to spread hope around. When we pick up the phone and make a call, we shine light into someone's darkness. We can generate hope. Joy and love are high on the list of things we think of at Advent, but at this time of year, sometimes those words are tinged with a little powdered sugar, tinsel, and anticipation of presents under the tree. And justly so, those things give me a good measure of joy and love. But this year, I see love in so many unexpected places as total strangers go about caring for us. I'm thinking of cashiers in grocery stores, doctors in emergency rooms and ICUs. I'm thinking of cleaners in clinics and hospitals, of gas station attendants. And although by no means strangers, I see the abundant love from teachers standing behind their students. The love from strangers is a special kind of love, and it gives me joy when I think of it, and surely it must provide hope for our world. We have invited two members of our congregation to share with us their thoughts of searching for hope. Lindsay Melvin gave birth to her first child in the middle of the pandemic, and she is going to share with us the joys and the challenges of this blessing. Kathy Litchfield has known both joy and sorrow during these restrictions, as a grandchild was born and a mother in her family passed away. We will hear from Lindsay and Kathy a little bit later. Special thanks to Carla Plaus, Shauna Sperry, and the women who provided the music for this service. And thank you to our soloist, Ashley Ford, for her beautiful contributions. Thanks to you for joining us from wherever you are. Find a comfortable spot. Sit back. Enjoy the music, the scriptures, the stories, the poetry. Try to imagine that we are together in the soft, warm light of our sanctuary, so beautifully decorated for Advent. May the love of God descend on you and surround you, and may you find hope.
After the longest year many of us remember, we have arrived at the season of Advent. It is the season of rebirth, of preparation, of anticipation. Now is the time to ready ourselves once more to celebrate Christ's birth and remember that the promises of God come true. We light this candle to proclaim the coming of the light of God into the world, a light that shines in the darkness and cannot be overcome. Let this light be a sign of hope for you, hope for an end to the pandemic, hope for the well-being of others, hope in God's redeeming love.
A reading from Luke 2, the Song of Mary. And Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior. For he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely, from now on, all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him, from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever. And Mary remained with her about 3 months and then returned to her home.
Not a silent night. There was blood on the ground. You could hear a woman cry in the alleyways that night on the streets of David's town. And the stable was not clean. Cobblestones were cold. Little Mary, full of grace, with the tears upon her face, had no mother's hand to hold. It was a labor of pain. It was a cold sky above. Dark, every beat of her beautiful heart was a labor of love. Noble Joseph at her side, calloused hands and weary eyes. There were no midwives to be found on the streets of David's town, in the middle of the night. So he held her and he prayed, shafts of moonlight on his face. For the baby in her womb, he was the maker of the moon. Was the author of the faith that could make the mountains move. Was a labor of pain. It was a cold sky above. For the girl on the ground in the dark, every beat of her beautiful heart was a labor of love. Little Mary, full of grace, with the tears upon her face, it was a labor of love. this town.
When asked to reflect on the questions, what has made hope difficult, and what am I hopeful for during the pandemic, my first reaction is just how often the pandemic has provided me the opportunity to choose hope. And reflecting on how much has happened in the last 8 months, and for my family, it's been life-changing. We have had new hope every day. There are 3 themes which summarize what I am hopeful for during this pandemic. They are our abilities to come together, looking after ourselves, and acknowledging the uncertainties and still choosing hope. I remember being in the office and calling my team together to let them know that we were given the option to work from home. We needed to brainstorm just how we were going to make this virtual office work. I remember having a feeling that it may be a few weeks before I see the people I spend every day with in person again. And the next couple of weeks, our team came together. As project managers, we implemented monitoring to demonstrate work was continuing. We provided updates and contingency plans for scenarios such as construction stoppage or interrupted supply chains. We also came together and looked after each other. Everyone agreed to find someone in the team to check in with daily, knowing that working from home can be isolating. A couple months in, one of my colleagues commented that they felt more connected to the team now because it no longer mattered where in the province we were located. Everyone was making the effort to connect in this new virtual world. I also saw people come together outside of work. I have a group of 5 girlfriends. We became friends almost 20 years ago in a small group. We've always stayed in touch, but getting together became more difficult as everyone became busy with careers and families. In March and April this year, we were able to connect more frequently with online visits than we have in the past few years. It was an amazing feeling to regain that connection to others, and this left me feeling hopeful and centered. Moving to work from home sparked many transitions. In my case, I fell into that trap that so many women do. I'd set up check-ins and team building activities and put all my effort towards looking after everyone. I'd forgotten about myself. I was pregnant for the first time, due in August, and feeling the weight of a major life transition, as well as trying to stay healthy, when it dawned on me, what have I done to look after myself? Taking the opportunity to reconnect with myself has me hopeful. The increased time at home in arguably a slower place in life has enabled me to look after myself. I am hopeful to continue to discover new delights in our neighborhood with walks in daylight and at night. This continues now into winter with seeing the neighbors' Christmas lights and backyard skating rinks. Being hopeful for a healthy pregnancy and after was rewarded. We are so blessed to have safely welcomed our healthy son on August 23rd. I am hopeful to be able to look after myself, knowing that I will be a better mother if I do. To be able to look after others, we need to first look after ourselves. As much as I would like to think that hope comes naturally, it is often still a choice. As a project manager and now a mother returning to work with an infant at home, I like to plan. For me, not knowing can make it difficult to hope. I don't know if we've reached the midpoint of the pandemic. I don't know if I can make it through keeping everyone healthy. It is acknowledging the uncertainties and then realizing I can choose hope that helps. Perhaps you have considered that challenging times in life are those that bring us closer to God. It is these times that we can also be hopeful. I am hopeful for the future. I choose to be hopeful that people in all communities will continue to come together, no matter how long this pandemic lasts. I am hopeful that we will all do our best to look after ourselves, which in turn enables us to look after each other. The world my son will know will only be one with this pandemic. How beautiful it will be to tell him someday that his extended family and friends waited so patiently to meet him in person, that we found new ways to connect, to enjoy our surroundings, to look after ourselves, and that we came together to look after each other. That's a future for which I am very hopeful.
Before I begin, let me first declare that I'm a white woman of privilege. This is not to say that those of us living with abundance do not have times of despair and darkness. We do, I do. But I also have more resources, money, friends, family, contacts at my fingertips to smooth my way. With the darkness of COVID overshadowing much of what we do, making our lives smaller, I think of those whose loneliness must be crushing, of those who live their lives on the fringe, including many of our elders, for whom every day is small and daunting and with little hope. So yes, my smaller life is still great and full of love. 2020 has been difficult and disorientating. For us, the start of the year was as good as it gets. In late February, we headed to Arizona for a month in the sun. By mid-March, the proverbial heat had turned up. Canadians were ordered home, the border was closing. At the same time, we had a FaceTime call from our eldest, Jennifer, whose first pregnancy was going amiss, and an emergency C-section would be required, sooner versus later. Our 3-day trip home was unnerving, facing almost every weather system imaginable, while the shadow of the virus lurked everywhere. Plus, we were anxious about our family. A week after returning home, our first granddaughter pulled back the veil of darkness and brought hope and its fruit, joy, safely arriving a month early. So yes, hope and joy, even though we were living small. No holding nor caring for the wee bundle, no hugs nor respite for their parents. You feel helpless, restricted to window or FaceTime visits, not just with them, but also our other 2 daughters, Allie and Becky, both frontline workers, their husbands, and our grandson, Liam. On Mother's Day, we had our first outdoor visit, still at a distance from baby Anna. Then 2 months from her birth, on what would have been my mom's 90th birthday, masked up with bursting hearts, we finally got to connect with Jen and Sean and hold baby Anna. And as that chapter was being written, another was closing. Before we left for Arizona, Bill's 97-year-old mom had pneumonia. We visited her, wondering if it would be our last visit. Trooper that she was, she recovered, turning 98 in May. Ev tolerated the phone calls, window visits, and later outdoor visits, but wasn't happy. Remaining sharp of mind, she longed for a more intimate connection. 6 weeks before she died, she phoned, lamenting that she felt discarded. In July, a mini-stroke further weakened her, and by late August, Bill's mom passed away with family at her side. Knowing her heart's desire was for a funeral she had planned years ago, the dilemma was how to celebrate the life of this family matriarch in such restricted times. While her children mulled options, the grandchildren rose up. They rallied together, crafting paper lanterns, and several days after their Nana's death, we paid homage to her. As darkness fell, a myriad of lanterns charted a course over the Winnipeg River while we sang a favorite hymn. There was laughter and tears, but most of all, love and light and joy. No funeral, but a service from the heart. But our pandemic story was to continue. Almost a month later, Jen, whose family had been the most cautious of anyone we knew, had a business associate in to sign papers. The associate removed her mask to have a drink of water. A few days later, she tested positive for COVID, which infected both Jen and Sean, already sleep-deprived and vulnerable, as well as baby Anna. The roller coaster of more quarantines, more fear, more helplessness, more window visits and meal drop-offs. The positive news is that they had no contacts, and apart from a weekend of hell, made it through with mild or moderate symptoms. As written by Heidi Rose Robbins, a dance between honoring grief and exhaustion while still moving toward the light. As we enter this season of Advent, of expectant waiting, we open a new chapter awaiting the birth of Becky's second child this spring. And I'm reminded of a quote from Desmond Tutu. Hope is being able to see the light despite the darkness. While the pandemic continues to rage, may the hope of Christmas bear the fruit of joy, of love, and of endurance for you and yours.
The world waits for a miracle. The heart longs for a little bit of hope. Oh, come, Emmanuel. A child prays for peace on earth, and she's calling out from a sea of hurt. Oh, come, Emmanuel. And can you hear the angels singing glory to the light of the world? Glory, the light of the world is here. Drought breaks with the tears of a mother. A baby's cry is the sound of love. Come down, Emmanuel. Whoa, here's a song for the suffering. Here's Messiah, the Prince of Peace has come. He has come, Emmanuel. Oh, glory to the light of the world. 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 For all who wait, for all who hunger, for all who pray, for all who wonder, behold your King, behold Messiah, Emmanuel, Glory to the light of the world. Glory to the light of the world. Glory to the light of the world. Behold your King, behold Messiah, The world waits for a miracle. The heart longs for a little bit of hope. Oh, come, Emmanuel.
If this time has taught me anything, it is that the tiny speck in this universe that we occupy is both wonderful and wondrous, and if we allow it to, the beauty around us can unlock the beauty within us and teach us far more than our schooling ever did. If this time has taught me anything, it is that success and how we measure it needs to be redefined, and that the only person to whom you should ever compare yourself is who you were yesterday. Make your growth game strong, and along the way be kind to yourself. If you are doing your best, then you are doing enough. If this time has taught me anything, it is that it is more important now than ever before to see the world through your own eyes. Begin by looking at yourself. Look honestly and look gently. Look inward with compassion and kindness, and look outward with humility and appreciation. If this time has taught me anything, it is that the opposite of love is not hate but fear. And our greatest fear is losing that to which we have become attached. Yesterday is heavy. Put it down. Seeing the beauty in the world around you is the first step in purifying and clearing the mind. And if this time has taught me anything, it is that nature, unlike us, never apologizes for her beauty. If this time has taught me anything, it is that life really is about the journey, not the destination. And it must be, for surely we are not here merely to reach the destination, for the destination is death. Be alive, for after all, life is all you've got. And when you pay attention to the things for which you are grateful, you soon forget about what you think you're missing. If this time has taught me anything, it is that bitter tears are the quietest, and on the days when your head wants to hang low, it is important that you look up. Lift your head. Take it in and breathe deep, for while this world can sometimes be a hard place, your reality and what you perceive it to be are seldom aligned. If this time has taught me anything, it is that beauty truly is in the eye of the beholder. We can see universes within universes, but only when we pay enough attention, and this is as true of the nature within us as it is of the nature around us. If this time has taught me anything, it is this: if true love conquers everything, then self-love gives it the fortitude to do so. Know that you are more than your scars. Know that every wound in you that has healed along the way has taught you what it is to fight back and to start again from where you are with what you've got. Beat your own pathway without seeking the approval of others, and know that self-love is not vanity. If this time has taught me anything, it is this: hope matters, and we cannot live without it. This time has taught me that hope is not a wish, nor a desire for things to be different. It is a course of action, a combination of mind and heart. The future can be better and can be brighter, and we each have the power within us to make it so. There will be challenges to face along the way, to which there are many solutions. There is a source of resilience deep within us all. If this time does not teach us that time itself is precious, then we will have missed the lesson. The lesson that never before have the past and the future been so irrelevant, and that the quest to find ourselves has been fruitless to now, only because we've been searching in all the wrong places. We are here. We are now. We are each and every breath we take. Every day is a gift to begin again, and to grasp with both hands the fresh opportunity to learn, unlearn, and relearn. If this time is not wasted.
Let us join our hearts and minds in prayer. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we are grateful to be able to celebrate the annual tradition of the Women's Advent service in a non-traditional manner. During this time of uncertainty, it is comforting to practice something familiar as we move into the season of Advent. We hope for a bit of normalcy during a time in which we feel displaced from our regular routines and activities. We appreciate the technology that allows us to celebrate our faith while maintaining physical distances during this pandemic. We hope that while we are physically apart from each other, we're able to feel the comforting embrace of community surrounding us. We are grateful for the insight and dedication of the leadership team, who realize the importance of this annual service and for their creativity in assembling our voices to come together to worship. We hope that they may know how important their work is and understand that what they do matters. We thank you for the long lives of people who now find themselves in seniors' homes. We hope for excellent care for them and both strength and endurance for their caregivers and for doctors and nurses. We thank you for the schools and jobs that people attend during the pandemic. We hope for bravery as both teachers and students must leave their homes and tend to their obligations and tasks during dangerous times. We thank you for the love and support that many provide to others, for the very young and the very old. We hope that the precautions that they are able to observe are effective as they carry out the heavy responsibility of offering tender care. We thank you for the gift of fellowship, especially for those for whom this time of being apart has led to feelings of loneliness or isolation. We hope for their courage as we go into the winter season of short days and long nights. We hope they employ creativity with their newfound time to take up a new hobby, or perhaps revive an old one long ago set aside. We hope they find the strength to reach out to others to start a new friendship, or revive old ones that had taken a pause when life was too busy for conversations at leisure or purely for pleasure. May remote, telephone, text, FaceTime, or written communication with others buoy everyone's spirits. We are grateful for rich Christmas season calendars of previous years, of parties and concerts, social events and gatherings, which have defined the fabric of December for many, and are thankful for a different pace this year. In the absence of festive engagements outside of our homes, which can tend to overwhelm us as we race from one to the next, we hope you're able to guide us to a place of solace and peace, to help us explore and be comfortable with silence as we make time for meditation and reflection. May we emerge with a short list of events that are most precious to us, those few that provide the happiest memories for us, and a healthy appetite to mindfully return with intention when we are free to gather again in our new normal. We give thanks to cooks and to bakers, for whom this time of year usually means a busy kitchen full of delicious aromas and flavors. We hope for the insight that comes from careful consideration of recipes that truly nourish either our bodies or our souls, and prepare foods that are filling to us in either or both of these ways. We humbly ask for your guidance as we either scale down recipes to accommodate smaller than usual crowds at our tables, or scale up recipes that we intend to honor with contactless deliveries to the doorsteps and porches of those with whom we choose to share our gifts, handmade with love. We thank you for those with whom we will exchange gifts this holiday season. We hope that this year, rather than trudge around malls wearing boots and lugging heavy coats through crowds, we find delight in the new adventure of online shopping in our jammies while enjoying a favorite beverage. While doing things dramatically different, perhaps this will be the year that we stretch and consider gifts of self, such as stories, letters, poems, or songs, telling our loved ones how we feel about them and what they add to our lives. We thank you for those with whom we choose to break bread over the Christmas season. We hope to delight in each other's virtual presence while sharing a meal when we set up a screen at a place setting instead of having our friends and family join us in person. May we experience laughter and joy at the stories we tell when we're connected by video calls. Thank you, Lord, for this time to pause, to reflect upon what is truly important to us, and consider how we would like to celebrate Advent, not just this year, but into the future. We hope to gain insight into who and what is most important to us as we mark this time of year, with great hopes of feeling nourished, fulfilled, and jubilant. In Jesus' name, amen.
Run your word.
Thank you for joining us for the Women's Advent service. We hope it was a source of comfort to you and that this will be a resource that you can draw on throughout the coming season. We hope that next year we will be together for this service. May you both give and receive hope. May you be hopeful rather than fearful. May the beauty of silent night remain with you. And may the God of hope guide and protect you as we go forward. Amen.